Hello, dear students. Welcome to the online class for MA Final English Literature. In this video, I am going to explain the poem's explanation, and in the previous video, we were studied the poem Toads. Now, on your screen, you can see the half remaining part of the poem Toads to be explained. In Toads, as I have told you that this poem is composed by Philip Larkin. So, in this poem, the speaker struggles to figure out why he lives a life dominated by work, and he wonders if there is another way to come out of this stuff. Larkin once said, I think writing about unhappiness is probably the source of my popularity. Most people are unhappy, don't you think? So, this quotation made us realize that Larkin always talk about the unhappiness that is prevailed in every human being, but some of them doesn't reveal it. So now, whether when we talk about the poems written by Philip Larkin, we discuss this theme very often. Now, on your screen, you can see the text of the poem, and I am going to start reading of the poem and explaining it to you. Ah, were I courageous enough to shout, stuff your pension, but I know all too well that's the stuff that dreams are made on. In this stanza, the poet speaks about the dream, the fancy that he wants to do, but the outer social pressure or social obligation doesn't make him to do it. He says that should I have the courage to blindly bluntly speak to my boss that stuff your pension, or to shout at my boss, but I know. But in the next two lines, the last two lines of this stanza, he says that I know too well that this stuff means this work that dreams are made on. This work has the capability to fulfill my dreams. So that's why he is not able and he doesn't have courage to shout on his boss and to say bluntly to his boss that stuff your pension means forget about the workload and to live his life fulfilly. So in this line, line number 24, that is that dreams are made on, this line signals the speaker's acceptance of reality. And once again I would like to draw your attention on this line, that this line, the dreams are made on, this line also reminds us of the character Gonzalo in the work The Tempest written by Shakespeare. At that place in the work The Tempest, in the play The Tempest written by Shakespeare, there a character Gonzalo speaks the same line, like I would like to quote that line: no occupation, all men idle, all and women too. There in that work Shakespeare also draw attention towards the social obligation, toward the work pressure on the human beings. And here in this poem Philip Larkin also made a connection between uh, that past and the present of Philip Larkin, the contemporary situations of Philip Larkin's age, and this creates a sense of universality and timelessness. So this stanza reminds us of the quotation of that character Gonzalo in the play The Tempest. In the next stanza, for something sufficiently toad like squats me in me too. Its hunkers are heavy as hard luck and cold as snow. As in the previous stanzas, we have studied the word squat. Squat is the uh, activity of the frogs when they walk, that their jumping and their walk is called squat. So in this stanza also we find out why the speaker hasn't joined the merry ranks of the jobless. It turns out that the reasons for his conformity go beyond external societal expectations. So, in this stanza, the poets again speak about the workforce, the work pressure on him. And he says that for something sufficiently toad like squats in me too. Here he talks about the inner toad, the inner pressure that he feels, and he says that there is not only there is an external toad like feeling, but there is an internal toad like feeling in me that squats in me. It's hunkers. Hunkers means the upper thighs. The hunkers are heavy as hard luck and cold as snow. There we can see the simile. And here in these lines the poet speaks that the hunkers means the pressure of that internal toad is as heavy as my hard luck and as cold as snow. So this creates an environment of the expectation, the societal expectation, that external expectation that the poet feels, and also the internal pressure. Job is external societal pressure. The internal toad like thing that the speaker has acknowledged is something in his personality, a certain sense of obligation or duty which keeps him from turning his back on work. And there you can notice the sound h repeat repetition again and again in the line hunker, heavy and hard. When we talk about the next stanza, and will never allow me to blarney my way of getting the fame and the girl and the money all at one setting. Now the poet come to the point that why he is in the pressure of the work. Here in this stanza he clarifies his objectives, like he is saying that will never allow me to blarney. Blarney means persuade my way of getting the fame and the girl and at one set, all at one sitting. Here in this stanza, the poet says that he has three objectives to do this work, to do this job. The three objectives are fame, love, and money. And every human being wants these three objectives all at one sitting, and that's why the internal toad and the external toad persuade any human being to get these objectives, and that's why the human being feel pressure. So stanza 8 shows the objectives of the poet very clearly. In stanza 9, he says, I don't say one bodies the other, one's spiritual truth. Here in these lines, one and one at one place refer to the external toad, and one at the another place refer to the external toad. So the poet says that I don't say one body is the other, one's spiritual truth, but I do say it's hard to lose either when you have both. The poet wants to say that one toad doesn't give life, doesn't give body to the other. It is the coexistence that makes things so hard, because he clearly says in the concluding line of this poem that it is hard to lose either when you have both. The poet clearly reminds us that the external pressure and the internal pressure of the work is so high that you can't lose one. And the moral of this poem is that work is a hard thing to get out of, so steer clear of toads. So here the poem completes. And when we talk about the critical analysis of this poem, we see that in this poem the poet uses I rhymes, like in the recently we have studied in the stanza that he talks about Blarney and money. So these are I rhymes, and the poet uses symbolism as one of the best figure of speech in this poem. He symbolizes an amphibian creature to the work pressure in the present life. Larkin avoided perfect rhyme, regular meter, and used quatrains to make the poem from mirror the content. The form mirrors the speaker's feelings of dissatisfaction coming from an incomplete and imperfect life. We don't get what we want or expect from the poem's form and meter, just as the speaker fails to get what he wants from life. So, here in this poem, there is no regular meter and there is no perfect rhyme. The poet uses I rhyme, and when we talks about the meter, he uses iambic pentameter. The form and meter work together to put us in the same boat as the speaker, to make us feel the same way he does. Larkin uses half rhymes that you can notice in stanza 1. There he talks about life and full. The speaker feels he is living a kind of half life, with work taking up too much of his time. The speaker's life is incomplete. He never gets the fame and the girl and the money all at the same time. That is quoted in line number 31. And if we talk about the theme of the poem, the themes are dissatisfaction, freedom and confinement, and the last but not the least, dreams, hopes, and plans that make every individual to run the race of this life. So that's all about this poem. Thank you all.